Hello, everybody. I know I say this basically every time I do one of these streams, but I don't intend to cover this like literally multiple times every week. It just so happens that uh, stuff keeps happening and nothing happens. So it's once again, it's kind of Schrodinger's world in conflict or something like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna play this because this is kind of how I feel today. I had some stuff I was gonna do, or I was maybe gonna do some cleaning, maybe do some laundry, but
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
is more or less how I feel at this point in time. But anyways, so it looks like Israel and America have decided that, and this is Israel and America. I don't think there's any real like doubt as to who's behind this one. Between the timing, what we know about what has previously happened, and the current situation that we're seeing kind of all along the front lines. That this is Israel and America. Real, like, I don't know. I'm gonna stop saying last throw of the die because I've said that so many times, but it seems like they're trying to open a new front. I don't know if it's just because they think the Russians aren't watching. This is their chance to take down Assad. This is their chance to escalate and start a war with Iran. I'm not entirely sure what the main objective is. They might have just said, "Look, we got all these Islamists who are sitting around. Let's just use them. Let's just send them into battle against the let's send them into battle against the Assad government and see what happens." So, a problem that the Syrians have been having, the Syrian government has not. Okay, so to go back to the Syrian Civil War started in 2011 with the Arab Spring, in which a number of anti government forces, backed by the United States and Israel, staged a series of uprising across the country. The American government just poured in guns and money and gave it to pretty much anybody who uh, wanted it, including a group called the Islamic State in Syria and the Levant, who would eventually come back to bite everybody. So they just gave weapons to pretty much everybody, the moderate rebels, the jihadi rebels. Turkey got involved and they started dumping weapons into there as well, uh, and stuff like that. The eastern part of the country has sort of broken away, and formed the Kurdish areas. Now, the Kurdish areas, their relationship with the Assad government, I've been trying to follow it throughout this war. I don't entirely understand how it works. Um, because sometimes they're like allied, sometimes they're against each other, sometimes they're like, I don't know, it kind of goes all over the place. Basically, the Kurds are allied with the Americans and they're neutral to the Syrian government. I think it's probably the best way to put it. The Syrian government, though, has been unable to completely end the war because the U.S. is occupying parts of their country, as is Syria. Sorry, as is Turkey. So whenever the Assad government has tried to clear out the last remaining pockets and completely end the civil war, Turkey gets involved and stops them. And the Syrian government is in no way, in no condition to fight Turkey, who has the second largest army in NATO. So it's kind of just been dragging on for the last couple of years with not a ton of stuff happening. Just having a bit of coffee. Um, so as you can see there, I think this is the main oil producing region in Syria is occupied by the U.S. I think there's also a number of uh, jihadi groups that operate out of there. But in the last couple of days, we've seen an unexpected resurgence of the Syrian opposition They've just streamed out of the northwest from the Turkish security zone. They've overrun most of Aleppo, and they're rapidly making progress. Now, to my understanding, and it's very much kind of up in the air at the moment, we don't entirely know what's going on. The the Syrian government did not put up much of a fight in Aleppo. So there's a couple different theories I've seen so far as to what actually happened. Theory number one, this was a complete and total failure on the part of Syrian and Russian and Iranian intelligence. And somehow they were not able to. Constantine, maybe if you could type in the chat, what is the status of the relationship between the Kurds and the Assad government? Because, like I said, I have actually. I'm not saying this from a perspective of someone who's just guessing. I have been trying to follow it over the years, and it seems like they go back and forth between being allies to being neutral to being like somewhat enemies. It's kind of like a frenemy relationship between the two of them. But I digress. So yeah, so they've been so that's theory number one, that this was a total failure of intelligence on the part of the Russians, the Iranians, and uh the Syrian government, and they just weren't watching. There's an event in Hearts of Iron, sorry, in Kaiser Reich, where if you're playing as Mongolia, that's called The Russians Aren't Watching. And maybe this is kind of a Russians aren't watching scenario where they figured Russia's involved in Ukraine, they aren't going to be able to intervene too much in Syria. Their ability to bail them out is limited at this point in time. So that's theory number one. Theory number two is they knew this was happening, but they couldn't respond in time. So rather than fight at a position where they were at a huge disadvantage, um, a huge disadvantage. They decided to withdraw to a more defensible position where they could concentrate their forces. It should be noted that, as far as I know, the rebel groups do not have any, don't have any, what's it called again? I don't have any tanks or aircraft. I don't think they really have much air defense. So as this war continues on, this phase in the war goes on, what they're doing is the jihadis are gradually just getting kind of worn down. Any of their logistics just immediately get bombed by the by the Syrian or Russian Air Force. I don't think they really have any tanks or anything like that. So they do have, I guess, kind of a strategic advantage. Wherein the longer this goes on, if the rebels aren't able to take a lot of ground, they are going to gradually just. Once again, air power is not enough to reverse to win a war on its own. I think the main use of air power is to provide tactical and strategic support, not necessarily. Close air support's helpful, but it's good for destroying things like ammo dumps, fuel dumps, convoys of resources, hitting static targets like bases of operations and things like that. So the Syrian government does have the overwhelming advantage in that area. There's also Assad has apparently been missing since the start of this crisis. But we aren't really sure what's going on. There was rumors. I was just watching the Duran's latest video. There's rumors that there's a coup in Damascus. I don't think that actually wound up happening, but the rebels are making progress as of the moment. I expect, as Kevin Galgo says in the chat, the offensive should stall within the next week. I've heard it's already stalling, but I think the assumption was that Russia would not be able to intervene, and this might be the. Okay, so that's true, Constantine. The rumors were that Assad went to Moscow to talk to Putin to get support, and he's back now. Okay, so I didn't know if that was confirmed or not. I'm not sure if that was confirmed or not. That just sometimes happens. When I say that, just keep that in mind. Uh, is a lot of the time we just don't really know. We don't really know um, what is going on. So I always try to say rumors or reports of or things like that when we're dealing with it. So how I would okay, sorry. So just take a step back. I'm sorry if I'm babbling a bit. The rebels launched an attack. They made a lot of progress, I think, because of they. It seems they achieved tactical surprise. I mean, keep in mind, Hamas allegedly also achieved tactical surprise. Whether that's because the Syrian army decided to withdraw and regroup, or they just got routed and ran away, or whatever happened, um, they're achieving success. I don't expect this to result in the Assad regime collapsing because they didn't collapse during much worse conditions. Let me see if I can find the Syrian civil war 2019 maybe. I'm just trying to find maybe an earlier. Let me see when ISIS at max. So this is what the Syrian civil war looked like a couple of years ago. As you can see, it's yeah. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, so ISIS had overrun like large portions of mostly empty parts of Syria. Damascus was itself threatened. Aleppo was under opposition control. So, like, obviously, if we compare the two, the situation is nowhere near as dire as it was previously. Now, I don't know how strong the Syrian Arab army is now compared to how it was previously, but it's definitely the situation isn't as bad. Um, Now, let's see here. Sorry, I'm just taking another sip of coffee. Part of why things turned around is Trump stopped giving them, as Constantine points out, Trump stopped cut some of the support in 2017, and Russia intervened. Russia intervening was really what changed the course of the war. Um, Russia just provided the Syrian government with massive amounts of air support. I'm not entirely sure how much ground support they provided. They might have just sent in a whole bunch of special ops units. I've also heard that Wagner is being deployed to Wagner is being deployed en masse to Syria. That's kind of the useful thing about Wagner, especially now that Prigozhin's gone, is, and I know I said this previously, and then Prigozhin you didn't need, but they are like a somewhat politically reliable arm of the Russian government that is not technically part of the army, so they have implausible deniability over it. Um, so they can send them to Syria. Also, Wagner is not able to operate in Russia anymore, but they're able to fight for Russia's interests overseas. So a lot of them are deployed in Africa and Syria, kind of all over the place, where they can kind of serve Russia's foreign policy objectives, while also not directly being part of the state. Uh, yeah, Constantine points out the other thing that wound up happening is Iran just sent in like a huge number of militia. Once ISIS got kicked out of Iraq, the Shias there sent in militia, and Hezbollah sent in militia. Now, I do kind of wonder if part of what this is to distract Hezbollah or is a way of resolving the situation in Lebanon. Now, to understand, let's see here. What are we saying? Uh, Israel has just looking up what a map is because I think like it was a complete and total shit show. The Hezbollah's I think there's a truce at the yeah, there's a ceasefire at the moment. But like my understanding is Israel barely didn't even capture like any major villages, that their attempt to invade Lebanon was a complete and total debacle. And yeah, they just took heavy casualties. They didn't wind up getting anywhere. Um and I think there was beginning to be a problem with reservists. Now, I've also heard that some other things have been going on, and what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought there for a second. Yeah, so I've heard that they'll probably pull out this. This actually frees Hezbollah up to go and intervene in Syria, so they can hopefully go and help out the Syrian government to reoccupy that territory. Hey, Rain. Rain just jumped up on my lap. Rain likes geopolitics, don't you, girl? Good kitty. Let's see here. So yeah, it was a like to my understanding, it was a total disaster. There is also I've heard rumors or rather stories, and I'm this has been an ongoing issue, so I'm sure that's definitely the case. But one of the big problems Israeli society faces is that the pro-war parties tend to be both to be ultra nationalists who favor war. The support base though of the ultra nationalist religious parties tends to be Hasidic Jews who are exempt from or whatever they're called, ultra orthodox Jews who are exempt from conscription. So you have all these Jews who are exempt from conscription who are on welfare, who vote to have the secular and moderately religious Jews go and fight these wars for greater Israel, but they will not serve in the army themselves. And this has led to a lot of resentment in Israeli society. And I often wonder if eventually it's just going to lead to the destruction of the Israeli political system. Definitely, it could lead to a destruction of the Israeli economy at some point because they're the ones who are having like 10, 12 kids, whereas the um, secular Jews, the ones who are serving in the army, don't really have many Jews. Don't really have many children. So that's kind of the issue that's going on. Ow! No, don't bite me! Don't bite me! Rain just she just freaked out a bit. Let's see. Let me just take a look at the Knesset for a second. Knesset. Yeah, so once again, the current party in power is we have Likud, we have Shas, which is a religious party, United Torah Judaism, which is obviously a religious party. We have the Jewish Power Party, which is once again a religious party. Some secular nationalist party, another party. So Netanyahu's government is based largely on support from religious nationalists who will not serve in the army. So, oh, they moved to draft the Hasidim? Did that happen recently? Like in the last day or two? Because I thought that that was. Oh, have they started doing that? Because I thought that they were just completely exempt from it. Okay, maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah. Uh, so it's still not very many, I don't think. But let's see here. Yeah, so that's kind of the situation at the moment. The question is though, like, what is Israel's next move? So nothing's really working very well for them at the moment. Like, Gaza is a mess. I mean, they won. They killed Hamas's leadership. They're occupying part of it. They haven't been able to destroy Hamas. They attempted to invade Lebanon, which was a shit show, and that didn't wind up going anywhere. They tried to provoke Iran into an attack. That also didn't wind up really going anywhere. There was just a bit of a back and forth, and then basically nothing. So I haven't really heard anything. I will point this out though. Did anybody notice a total media blackout on the whole invasion of Lebanon? Excuse me. So I feel like there was like it just completely disappeared from the media like a day or so after it started. Like I heard that the Israelis got like blown out their first defense, like their first couple operations, and then it was just never mentioned again until like yesterday where they have the ceasefire. So I'm not sure what the overall idea is. Yeah, nobody even knows Israel invaded Lebanon. Now, what I had heard that Trump what I have heard that Trump said to Netanyahu, and I don't know if this is a rumor or not, is he basically just told Netanyahu, like, just take the W. You beat the crap out of Hamas. You assassinated Hamas's leadership, Hezbollah's leadership, a bunch of Iranian generals. Just declare victory and go home. And I think that is what Trump said to Netanyahu, which honestly is probably the best way of dealing with it at this point in time. But I don't really know. I think I think when we look back on this war, the big issue that Israel has faced is this is not the Israel of the 1950s, 60s, or 70s, or even 80s. Their society just isn't as militarized as it used to be. Their population has gotten too comfortable. They aren't willing to make the massive sacrifice or the sacrifices necessary to actually win wars or defeat any of their opponents. And that's I think where they basically are at the moment, where they're just kind of Netanyahu has all these political projects, but he's largely incapable of really doing anything with it. Uh, we started all these conflicts. I've heard that there's desertion problems, there's morale problems, there's trouble getting like the Israeli soldiers to actually show up. That there's just all kinds of logistical issues that they're trying to deal with. Is my understanding of what's currently going on in Israel. So yeah, also there's the Israeli optics stuff where they keep filming their war crimes and stuff like that. Part of the issue, and I think this has to be understand about American foreign policy, is it's not a unified bloc. There's multiple factions. There's multiple factions within the U.S. State Department, the CIA, and all these other organizations. There is different competing priorities. It doesn't necessarily mean one group is more moderate than the other, or that they aren't all neocons or believe in democracy, exportation, or stuff like that. But there's like the anti-Russia group, there's the anti-China group, there's the anti-Iran group, and they might be against all the other groups, but they want to prioritize um, one or the other. Now, Trump's faction tends to be more of the anti China group. And to my understanding, most of the people he appointed tend to be more anti China than anti Russia. So it kind of where resources get spent and where escalation happens really depends on where uh, who's in power at any given time. And then sometimes you have multiple priorities at once. So I'm not really sure where we're at the moment. I think it's pretty divided between the anti-Iran group and the anti-Russia group, and there's kind of a lot of confusion on that status. What we'll probably move to when Trump takes power is the anti-Iran and the anti-China group. We'll probably gain dominance within the State Department. Because I don't think there's that much of the Russia group within the Trump administration. Now, I've also seen speculation as to how much Trump will even deal with foreign policy, or if his fight is going to be against the administrative state in the United States. If that's going to be the main goal, is that Trump's going to be more focused on domestic policy of breaking the back of the bureaucracy, or at least attempting to purging the military and doing all that kind of stuff, and that the foreign policy will be very much secondary. That's also a possibility. We don't really know exactly what Trump's going to do. I think part of what that's part of Trump's kind of plan, and that's part of what makes Trump effective in some ways, is no one really knows what he's going to do one day to another. And that little bit of craziness and that little bit of strategic ambiguity, as Macron would put it, I think can be helpful. It can be dangerous, but it can also be helpful. And I think that's something that helped out Nixon a lot, was people were never 100% sure what Nixon was going to do. He could come with the carrot, he could come to try to negotiate, but people were always a little bit cautious that if you push Nixon too far, he would go too far. That he would do something. So, so I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, just as we're going through this, that there is a variety of different factions. Uh, Also, we don't have. I think the other thing to keep in mind, and I've talked about this many times, who is currently running the country? Who is in control of the United States of America? Who's in control of the domestic policy, the foreign policy? Who's running like any of this stuff? Because Biden certainly isn't. Biden's just, I don't know, sitting on the beach or something, and his brain is too addled to really do much. Kamala's lazy and incompetent, so she's not. We have the different competing interests of Blinken and Sullivan and Stone Cold Lloyd Austin and all these other guys, none of whom really, a lot of whom hate each other and have competing priorities. So I think part of it is it has to be understood that this isn't like a grand chess plan or a grand strategy. It's a bunch of different people pursuing their own pet projects without any big vision. Uh, I think a lot of people are hoping that. I think in China actually they were quite relieved that Trump won. Uh, I don't know if anybody followed this, but Rain, don't bite me. Don't bite me. No, Brazil 20 Biden. So Biden is despised by the international community. Xi Jinping hates Biden. He hates Biden. The Chinese are infamous for like their being very polite and passive aggressive, but basically Xi came out and just said that Biden was an asshole and that he thought Biden was basically an F slur and a traitor. It's funny because they had a picture at the G20 and Biden and Trudeau were not there, which I find funny. I don't know if it was deliberate or not, but they were apparently having like a separate meeting, and although the rest of the G20 had a photo without Justo and Biden present, which I think says all of it. As I've said many times, everything I've heard from analysts, also Trump and Xi indirectly, is him and Trump actually got along pretty well. They were kind of rivals, and there was an adversarial relationship. But Xi viewed Trump, and Trump viewed Xi as someone who they understood and who they could do business with. Whereas Xi just thinks Biden is a weak stake who never follows through on any of his commitments. So I think this was just a massive snub by the international community about how much they hate Biden um, and Justo. I don't really know much about how Justo's viewed in the international community. I would assume the international community fucking hates Justo. Um, he probably just sits down and just shits on, he probably sits down and just lectures everybody about how they have to be more feminist and they have to have more immigration and stuff like that, or maybe like a Kennedy Khrushchev relationship, because didn't they have a pretty good working relationship despite obviously being on opposite sides of the war? And once again, this is why I continually say it's very important to have to always have an um open dialogue. Like, you don't have to agree with each other, you don't have to be friendly, but if Trump can't call Putin like at the 11th hour when missiles are about to fly and try to work something out because we don't discuss with terrorists, that is a fucking scary situation to be in. So Biden was not allowed at the group photo. Everybody hates him. Everybody hates Blinken. Everybody hates Justo. We had, I think, recently Justo and Trump sat down, and I think Justo just got completely bogged. Uh, Trudeau Trump meeting. How awkward is that? The look. Look at this picture. Is this like the duality of man? Trump has the troll face on, and Justo just looks like he's facing existential dread. Let's see here. What did Trump say? Fentanyl drug crisis. So somebody brought up the question of why is Trump putting tariffs on Canada? Because a lot of people are talking about that. They're like, well, Canada is a country of similar economic development. There shouldn't be the same kind of issue. Like, people are like, okay, we understand tariffs against Mexico and China because they have cheaper production costs, but why against Canada? Why is there always talk about this? The issue is China uses Canada as a way to get past tariffs. So what China will do is they will bring in their goods through Vancouver, and then they will sell them in the US as a Canadian good that's being exported. And by using NAFTA, they're able to get around any of America's tariffs or trade restrictions. And I think Trump is tired of having to deal with it. So, yeah. So thanks for dinner. Like, look at this cockage. Look, Justo just got completely mogged here. Thanks for dinner last night, President Trump. I look forward to the work we can do together again. Not for long, Justo. You're on your way out. You're on your way out. You will be replaced by someone far cringier than you, though. Look at how uncomfortable this is. Oh, it's so awesome. U.S. imports from Canada, paper, wood products. By the way, so for those of you who aren't aware, I'm actually scared of. I was gonna vote for Polyev in the next election, but I'm probably just gonna throw my vote away and vote for Bernier. If you guys haven't seen this yet, we have This is what it's looking like for the next federal election in Canada. The Liberals are going to get completely and totally felted. They might even fall to third place. Things are so bad. The Conservatives are going to win a supermajority. Now, once again, it doesn't really matter in Canadian politics whether you have because so in Canada we have basically absolute party discipline. So if you're a MP or an MPP, you're not allowed to vote against your party basically, or you'll get kicked out. So it doesn't really matter if you have a 1 or 2 seat majority, unless somebody dies or retires, or like a 50 seat majority. But it does give you a mandate, and it gives you more kind of popular legitimacy. So at the moment, the Conservatives have a greater than 99% chance to get a majority in the next election. It's a disaster. I'm trying to see when is the next election due to happen. It's got to be pretty soon. Keep in mind there's a minority government, so it could happen at any given time. But uh, what's his name? Singh is also gonna get wiped out, so they really don't want to deal with that either. Once again, let's just take a look at the. Let's take a little side trip. I know we're getting off topic, but that's what you can expect from me. Let's see here. Let's look at Polyev's. Polyev's Twitter makes Justo look less cringe. Uh, like he is substantially cringier than Justo. Like substantially. Advent this Sunday. Let's see here. I'm just trying to find some of the cringe. Okay, we have that. Justo Bail. I'm just trying to find. Maybe he hasn't been at some of this stuff lately. Just the entire. If you go through his entire thing is just posing with minorities. It's like the entirety of his thing. Oh, okay, that's kind of cringe, but I guess that's okay. Labatt Brewery Warehouse. My pension before Canada. What's this? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm used to cringier stuff from his. I'm just gonna scroll down. Let's see if we can find some of his pictures. What's this? Oh, here we go. Had a lovely time at the Filipino community members in Mount Royal alongside our common sense conservative candidates. Federation of Filipino Associations of Quebec for making it happen. Let's see, where's some more of I will defeat Trudeau. Yes, I support. Oh, look at those memes. Uh, another liberal. Okay, that's kind of based. Whenever I want to go and like find these things, I never wind up being able to find them. It's always kind of a always kind of sucks. But anyways, just take my word for it. Polyev is cringier than Justo. He's like a lot more aggressively like pro diversity than Justo is. Canada, I love you. Oh yeah, he's obsessed with the carbon tax. I don't know if anyone actually cares about the carbon tax, to be honest. It's just his big thing is axe the tax. So let's see here. Oh, here we go. Justo refuses to condemn the anti-Semitic riots in Montreal. Yeah, this was Justo at a the Taylor Swift concert. Well, there was like I forget what the riots in Montreal were exactly. Axe the tax. He talks about woke stuff a lot. Anyways, Navy to replace official Heart of Oak March with more inclusive music. Oh, Michael Chong. Michael Chong is really cringe. Anyways, he hasn't. It looks like he hasn't put up too much lately. So we have. Is Glenn Beck still alive? I'm actually kind of shocked that Glenn Beck is still even alive at this point in time. It's kind of surreal, to be honest. Um. Oh, this is funny. This is the current members of the House of Osman. You might have noticed something about it. About the. These are the descendants of the last emperor of the Ottoman Empire, or Caliph, Sultan Caliph. You might notice something about them. Uh, and this is very common. It's really funny if you look at the royalty of a lot of Muslim countries is they've just bred so heavily with Circassians and Albanians and other people from the Balkans. They just wind up looking like that. Uh, where are we? Uh, some more election denial stuff. I highly encourage people if you see any election misinformation or threats against Trump's life on Twitter to report that and ensure that we can keep it safe from election denial and that kind of thing. Slave concubine descendants. Yeah, it's Egypt was at one point a like an Albanian ethno state because the entire upper class was just all Albanians. The Ottoman Empire was also like that. It's kind of funny to be honest. What am I looking for? There was something else I wanted to talk about because that was most of I think what was going on. We have the Fuentes sex tape. Now, I don't know if anyone's heard about the Fuentes sex tape. I have not watched it. Um, I just I don't know. I just don't want to see if it's real. So I have not seen any definite. Well, okay. So the problem with the Fuentes sex tape is to tell if it's real, I would have to watch it and see. And I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch Destiny having gay sex. Um, so is it real? Is it not real? I can't really verify it one way or another. Now, some people who are Nick A logs have said it's not real. As best as I can determine from what people have told me, it is a real sex tape, but there's it's not definitive evidence that it was Nick. Um, it's I think there's a guy in it who looks kind of like Nick, maybe, but I don't know if that necessarily proves anything. So unless like some other evidence comes out, like someone proceeds, if someone like comes out and confirms it, or there's some other evidence, I'm just gonna assume that it's a sex tape with Destiny, sucking some dude off who could be Fuentes or who could not be, but it really probably could be anybody. So I'm gonna say my default for stuff like this is to assume that it's fake or not fake. Like I said, it's a real sex tape. I just don't know if there's any evidence that it was actually Nick in the sex tape. Because keep in mind, Destiny is a massive degenerate who's probably fucked hundreds of dudes, like 120 guys or something like that. So, like, just because I don't like Nick doesn't mean I'm going to jump on board and go, oh, big W, big Nick L, Nick, a homosexual, 100% confirmed. Like, he does enough, like, cringy shit that I do criticize him on without having to make stuff up about a sex tape. So, I don't know. My position is it's not, it doesn't prove anything unless there's some other proof. My understanding is it doesn't even show his face from what Based Caulfield tells me. So that is going to be my position. I don't know if that's like me chickening out or something, and like, or me not jumping on the A-log bandwagon. But until I see like some definitive evidence, I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking about at the moment with regards to the whole Nick thing. Let's see here. I want to do another stream. I've been trying to get it together. If people want to email message me some stuff on Discord, I want to do a like Democrat support um Democrat support illegal immigration because slavery is based, which is basically the whole thing is like that the if we deport illegals we're going to get house servants. We're gonna have to get rid of our house servants or something like that. Let's see here. By the way, has anybody watched? Has anyone watched DSP playing Stalker 2? I kind of want to watch it and see if he did worse than me or not. Because I did pretty bad when I was streaming it, and I can't imagine that DSP did any better. By the way, and this is a question I've been asking. I'm sorry if we're just getting completely off topic here. Does anyone know what Panda Lee's ethnicity was? Because this is something that's been bothering me for years. Like, what was she? Her name was Leanna Hagen. I think she's Hispanic personally, but I never like could figure it out. She said she was an Asian. So I think she's either Hispanic or just kind of a weird looking white girl. Um, so anyways, Jewish? Maybe, maybe. Yeah, Leanna and Phil. She's like Native American slash Southeast. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, maybe she's like half Native American or something like that. I just never really like knew she's. We know she's not part black, and we know she's not Asian. Because she specifically said that. It's just always been like a mystery to me. What she was exactly. I'm sorry if it's completely out of nowhere, but her name was Leanna Hagen, which doesn't really provide much in the way. So that would probably mean her father was white. Her mother was probably, I would imagine, Hispanic. It would be my guess. I have to say though, like the fat cat arc is pretty sad. Um, I guess maybe just while I'm here, I'll address. So there's all that. What the fuck is with that kid? Somebody, did you message me something? What kid? What are you talking about? Oh, allegedly that's Fat Cat. Uh, sorry. Oh no, Cat would be. I think that's how you spell her name. Yeah, she's gotten really like fat at the moment. Yeah, like that's what she looks like now. Uh like this is what Cat used to look like back in the day. Yeah. I always thought she looked kind of weird, but definitely like yeah, it was not a good transformation. It was not. What's with that? It looks like the literally looks like the upholstery on my grandmother's couch. Like what the fuck happened? Is just being married to Phil that bad? That she just completely like went in that direction. Uh I'm just trying to see here. Okay, I don't know who that is. Okay. Why is there black porn? I don't know. Elon, could you take some of the stuff down? I don't want to. I just don't. Whenever I'm scrolling through stuff on Twitter, I don't want to see like gay porn. I don't know. Maybe that makes me like a pussy or something like that. But I just okay. Dark side Phil cat fat. Why is it just so like? Hmm, I don't know. Elon, you gotta fix it. Like I don't like why. Okay. Cats. You're gonna get your channel deleted. I think YouTube might be better for this. Okay, that's true. Okay, live reactions to the Fat Cat Detractor. What is this? Uh,
I need that money. Number one, no, this is not a pregnancy announcement. I don't know who put that seed in everyone's mind. It's not correct at all. This is not that whatsoever. And number two, we are not here to talk about any documentary. All right. So already people are asking, what about the documentary? Is there going to be is this part of the documentary? Is Cat going to be in the documentary? This has nothing to do with the documentary. Therefore, don't ask questions about the
holy
documentary. This has nothing
shit!
to do
What
with it at all.
happened to
So we're
her?
just going to ignore those questions. All right. But it's going to be like a normal late night chill stream for us. We're going to just hang out.
Like,
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Cat is gorgeous.
what
Jasper's
happened?
adorable. I hope he comes back. He's literally right here. He's under us right now, running
Yes.
all around. Marvin says, good to see you again, Cat. White Mojo Wolf says, Cat.
Rain's literally in my lap right now. I think what happens is she sits in my lap, and if I move my like right hand to type on the keyboard, she thinks it's something and just starts biting me.
Anything out. These again, like I stated the other day, this was another one of his. Alrighty, that's enough of Phil here.
Anyway,
This is not a pregnancy announcement. Trying to see if there's any like it's funny because like Phil's lost a bunch of weight. Like I feel like Cat probably weighs more than Phil at this point. Like Phil's looking a little gaunt. Like it looks like he's lost a substantial amount of weight, whereas like Phil is just whereas Cat is just like taking it all on. I don't know if she just ate it or something, but it's bad. Phil, you gotta do something. You gotta do something about it. And I get that I'm fat and I need to lose weight, but seriously. Like, also get some better clothes. And I'm one to talk. I'm wearing like a t-shirt and jeans at the moment, so it's not like I dress particularly fancy. But don't wear something that looks like your grandmother's couch cushions. I don't know. Rain was just biting me again. I guess she just is feeling like playful or something. Or she's just like, Argent, you taste delicious. I want to eat you. I don't know. She's very affectionate in the morning. Like I woke up this morning and she was just nuzzling me. Just came up and was just rubbing her head up against me. I don't know. She's a good girl. She's just kind of high strung and freaks out sometimes, but that's just kind of with the territory of being a cat. So, anyways, God bless everybody. I've been rambling on long enough. I am going to do, despite the fact that it loses every poll, there will be a review of My Happy Marriage at some point in the near future. It's gonna happen. People keep voting for other stuff, but I'm gonna do it because they've started releasing light novels on Audible, which is nice. Just because it gives me kind of more access to them. So I kind of wanted, I read through I listened to the first My Happy Marriage light novel because I like the anime so much. So we